Well, welcome everybody. After a couple month hiatus, uh, proud to be back on the Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club here. Um, and if you heard that, that's my reminder that it's time. And let me shut that off so it doesn't do it again. My name is Mark Nelson. I'm with East Central Energy. And if you go down to the bottom of your screen, there's 9 people here. You get a bar, at least on mine. And if you click on the chat window should open on the right-hand side. Everybody's muted except for those that are speaking tonight. If you have questions, please enter your questions into the chat. We'll get those asked as time allows. And also on the chat, if you could introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, and what brings you here today. And that includes you, Jennifer. Linda Lytala is having trouble logging in. Nancy, do you have Linda's email? Nod your head, thank you. If you wouldn't mind sending her that. But again, thank you for coming here today, everybody. Looking forward to our speaker here, which I will introduce in just a second. Pete Sparts is here, Mayor of Sandstone. Courtesy, Mayor Pete?
Curiosity, poorly spelled.
Okay. And let me send Linda a text real quick so she can get online, because I know she doesn't want to miss anything. And if somebody will watch for Linda to show up, Mr. Zeller. So
I didn't have her phone or her email address.
okay. If you all will be patient with me, I will send it to her. Whoop. There we go. And that is sent. So we'll just run through then while we're waiting here for a minute. And I got another text message. Hey, can I get the login? So let me just double check here. Apologize. I guess that's what we get for taking a couple of months off, but a couple of quick introductions. I know they're on the right-hand side there, but we got DJ Zellers sitting at master control there. He'll be spinning the tunes tonight. Got the old vinyl cranking up. We got Nancy Hoffman from Chisago Lakes area. Pete I already introduced. Jennifer, who I mentioned, Jennifer is works with me, co-worker of mine here at East Central. She is our manager of communications and member services. So she's got a couple things that she does around here. Hi, Jennifer. Lindsay, Northway, from Malacca.
Yep, Northway.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Megan Bennett from Sandstone, must know Pete. Sandstone's not a very big town, I know, because my daughter and son-in-law live there. And Megan is looking for some options to begin a business of some sort. We might want to talk to Megan here before the night's over. And Chrisman, this is Andy and Rena in Mora. Interested in hearing Speaker Greg and also learning more about funding opportunities for small business. You came to the right place. That's what this club is all about. The opportunity to have speakers and to have a network of support from EDA to lenders and those that know how to get businesses started and what you need to do. We don't charge dues. We are kind of self-funded, if you will. We do have some sponsors of this event, and anyhow, we're glad to be back here. There's Linda. Hi, Linda.
Hello.
Got you in. Okay. With that, I will ask everybody that I did not mention already to go down on the bottom of the Zoom screen, hit the chat bar, and type in your name, where you're from, and why you're here today. If you do own a business or are interested in starting a business, please make sure to mention that. But I'm really excited because I understand that this is probably getting close to the last or somewhere near the last of what Greg Bergman does. I understand he's going to be retiring, pulling the pin, joining the retirement club on the golf course. Is that correct, Greg?
That is correct. December 1st is my last day. So I don't know about golfing, but we'll see if the snow melts at all.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to introduce Greg. His topic today is an intro to business. Greg Bergman is the regional director for the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center in Minnesota at Central Lakes College, correct?
Thanks, Mark. So I'm going to I have a little slide presentation that I'm going to do and go through that and really talk about starting a business, some of the things you need to think about, some of the things you need to do and stuff when starting a business. So let me see here. Okay, can everybody see that that slide?
You're up, Greg. Keep her going.
Good?
Yep.
All right, good. Again, yeah, thank you. My name is Greg Bergman. I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center at Central Lakes College. Small Business Development Centers are a program which actually a program that's available nationwide and actually in U.S. territories. And it's sponsored nationally through the U.S. Small Business Administration. In Minnesota, then, Minnesota State Department of Employment and Economic Development operates the program, and they in turn contract with various organizations throughout the state to operate the program on a regional basis. So Central Lakes College is one of those organizations, and we operate what's called the North Central region of Minnesota, although some people wouldn't necessarily call us North Central, but that's where we're at. Small business development centers kind of have, I like to say, kind of a threefold mission to provide consulting, training, and information to people who either want to start a for-profit small business, expand a business, or maybe buy a business, those types of things. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do. Again, available nationally or and that type of thing. So let's see if I can get the slides going. Here's a photo. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I'd like to wish I'd look like this now, but not quite, a little bit grayer. I've been director at Central Lakes College since 2001, and prior to that I've had some stints with the SBDC at various times throughout my career, starting in 1988. So I've been around quite a while doing some of this work. Small Business Development Centers are a partnership program, and a partnership in a couple senses. One, in how we deliver our services. So we partner with a number of organizations, and Nancy's organization, Chisago County HRA, EDA is one of those, as well as a number of others. And then also in how the program gets paid for. SBA provides about half the funding to run our program, and then Central Lakes College and a number of other organizations contribute to cover the other half. So again, very much a partnership program, and I like to emphasize that and recognize a number of the partners that we do have as we offer this service. This is a little map of the various regions throughout the state. Again, we're the North Central region there, and again, my office is out of Brainerd, but we cover about 11 counties in Minnesota, approximately, kind of half of a couple of them, and then the other regions, St. Cloud State University has a central region, Concordia out of Moorhead, the West Central, and so on and so forth. So again, 9 regions in Minnesota, and all offering very similar services, although there are some differences among regions and the staff they have and some of the expertise that they do have. Core SBDC services, I've kind of listed those 5 off. They're kind of what we consider our core services: business startup assistance, so helping advise people on things they need to think about when they're starting a business, business planning. So a lot of that is helping guide people through the process of developing a business plan, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. A little bit on marketing planning, which is a key component, of course, of business planning, that type of thing. Cash flow management, helping business owners understand how cash flow works in their business and how it impacts their business, how various business decisions impact cash flow in their business. And we always like to say that cash is king, so keep that in mind if you are running a business. And then lastly, and probably what we're best known for in a number of cases, is helping small business owners access financing and kind of helping them guiding them through that process and making sure that they have the information that lenders or other folks need to have to hopefully make a positive financing decision. We kind of have a little note on the bottom. It says we're not your legal and tax advisors. We don't replace attorneys, and we don't replace your accountant, that type of thing. We can provide some general, maybe general legal information or tax information, but really you need to go to those experts to get that type of information. And while we have worked with some nonprofits in the past, we generally give higher priority to for-profit business entities, and that's where the folks that provide most of our funding, specifically the SBA, is what they're asking us to do. So again, we do a little bit of work with nonprofits, but primarily for-profit businesses. And Jordan or somebody, if there are questions, feel free to interrupt, let me know, and I'll be, certainly happy to take those throughout the presentation, but otherwise we can do that at the end as well, if that's all right. So start out a little bit talking about an entrepreneur, and I talk to a lot of, actually do presentations for a lot of groups of students here at the college. And we offer a number of technical programs, and a fair number of those students at some point probably will be considering going into business, and we have an entrepreneurship certificate program at the college as well. So some of this is based off of my discussions with them, some of it a little bit modified for this particular group. But one of the things I usually talk about is just, what is an entrepreneur? That term gets thrown out there quite a bit, and so just kind of wrote some things down that at least in my mind, how I would define an entrepreneur. And a person that organizes, operates a business, or businesses taking greater than normal financial risk in order to do so. And you can read through some of those, but basically, you know, what we talk about is somebody who is willing to, again, put something at risk, to sacrifice something, you know, hopefully that has an idea for the next greatest thing. But it could be also someone who thinks they can do what might be normally a pretty mundane business and take that and do it better, and create something, create a business venture out of that. A lot of times when I talk to students, we have a little conversation about you know what attributes that we typically associate with an entrepreneur, and it'd be things like confidence, risk taking, competitiveness, creativeness, determination, those types of things that that we kind of tend to think about when we hear that term entrepreneur. So, you know, and when you're thinking about that, think about yourself and your own, you know, personality traits and attributes, those types of things, and you know what characteristics you have that you think would make a good entrepreneur, and not that everybody has to have all those characteristics that you see out there sometimes, but to understand your strengths and weaknesses is important, and I think an important first step when you're looking at starting a business. Okay, so I put together a slide that, you know, when people are looking at starting businesses, forming businesses, and setting up their business, they have different kind of mindsets or different ideas about how they envision their business going. So I just kind of put some different concepts together and ideas about that. And so the first one, get big fast. You know, and that's kind of that attitude about I'm going to go out there, garner as much in sales as I can. Not worry so much about profitability at this point, but get big and get big enough before my competitors or potential competitors latch onto this idea, and just kind of hopefully beat everybody to market, and then be big enough to keep those competitors out. And you'll see that a lot in a number of different types of businesses. You know, we tend to think of like a number of tech businesses, things like that certainly seem to be putting sales growth over profitability in a lot of cases. The term lean startup is a term we hear out there more frequently, I think, and certainly more frequently as we talk about tech-related companies, those types of things. And it's just really a way to look at beginning that business and you know, getting a product out there, kind of seeing what sticks out there, and if my ideas don't stick, maybe pivoting, doing something different fairly quickly, and seeing if the new thing sticks. It's again, it's kind of that mindset about starting a business and operating that business, and hopefully finding something that's going to work. The third one on there, stealth mode, is maybe a little bit more traditional, at least in some of the clients we see, where you have this idea, you work on it, you're not telling anybody, you try and get that product out there and perfect it, and then kind of come out big after that, and have that product basically a finished product by the time you're going out to market, that type of thing, and having that strong foundation before you begin. And business model canvas, I'm going to show a slide of that a little bit later, but it's just kind of a way to help process or think through your business idea, and really it contrasts, I guess, a little bit with what I would call traditional business planning. Again, it's tended to be used more in the tech area, those types of things, but really designed for those entrepreneurs that maybe aren't so good at documenting stuff the traditional way. And but again, it's just a process to help folks think through their business idea without putting as great a burden as a full business plan, I guess, on them. Nonprofits, some folks have a business idea, but really it's more appropriate to be a nonprofit organization or entity once they kind of talk through why they want to do it, what they want to get out of it, and that type of thing. And kind of related to nonprofits, but still a for-profit entity is Minnesota has what's called a public benefit corporation. And it's again, one of those choices of the type of business that somebody could choose to form, just like an LLC or a corp or that type of thing. This is a public benefit corp, and really basically you're saying that this business is being developed to provide some public benefit, and there's some reporting requirements around that, that type of thing. And if you think of like maybe a Ben and Jerry's or Tom's Shoes, that type of thing might be considered, probably not legally formed that way, but considered a public benefit corp in some respects. And then lastly, traditional business planning, which we're going to probably cover more extensively than anything else here, is again, it's just a process of documenting your business idea and a way to communicate that. So that's those are just some thoughts and some ideas on business startup and how to approach it, those types of things. And I don't know if you can see the detail on this slide or not, but just this slide covers a couple of the concepts: the lean startup versus the traditional one. Lean being on the left. Again, with the lean, you kind of have a broader business model and some ideas, kind of that you want to kind of, again, throw out there, see what sticks, focus on, getting out and testing things, doing things quickly, getting your product to market, seeing what works. If it doesn't work, changing it, trying it again. So it's more of that kind of process as opposed to the traditional business planning process, which again is more planning focused and kind of having all your ducks in a row, so to speak, before actually going into business and getting your product out there, or your service out there and on the market. And so you can see some of those differences in there, and how people think about business with each of those examples. And you hear that term agile development thrown around out there, and again, it's kind of that plan, design, develop, test, get it out there, get some feedback, and then do it again. Where more of the traditional, they call it waterfall development, is you're kind of more of a lockstep process for developing that business idea and business plan. Okay. I put together what I like to call success factors for going into business. And I used to have formula at one point, and I thought, well, it's not really a formula because, these are, again, just some thoughts, some things that are good to have. It doesn't guarantee success. Nothing does, but I think they're important factors that you want to consider and see that you might have those before going into business. And so number one, a practical plan with a solid foundation. Again, that kind of leads to that traditional business planning process and making sure that you have a well thought out plan for how you're going to start and operate that business. Secondly, dedication, willingness to sacrifice to reach your goal. It's typically starting a business is a sacrifice financially. a sacrifice of your emotional energy, and certainly a sacrifice of time in most cases. It used to be we'd kind of have this vision of, a business and people spending day and night there and that type of thing. And for a lot of businesses, that's what it takes to get them off the ground. You're not on the golf course anymore, so to speak. And some business owners are able to own and operate a business and still maybe save a lot more time for themselves and their family. But that's just kind of a decision that you need to make. And people have different goals when they go into business. For some, it's their primary means of financial support to pay their housing, food, that type of thing. And they might approach something differently than if that business is, I don't want to say a hobby, but isn't necessarily relied upon to meet those personal needs, or there might be some other goals that you're trying to meet in running that business. Technical skills are certainly important. If you're going to open a welding shop, typically having welding skills are very important. You can certainly hire those skills, but for most small businesses, that owner is also the operator and kind of the chief cook and bottle washer type of person. So having that knowledge or those technical skills are typically very important for them. Basic knowledge of business management, finance, record keeping, marketing. You don't have to be an expert in all these areas, but it helps to have some basic knowledge about that. And if you have some weaknesses, you just need to recognize that you need to find help in those areas to make sure that things get done correctly. And then lastly, I put a bit of good luck, or maybe you need a whole lot of good luck sometimes. And these are kind of different times too with the COVID. And surprisingly, we're seeing a lot of people that are actually looking at starting businesses, which is a good thing, and not as much demand, I guess, for businesses that are facing challenges due to the COVID-19. So, but not that they're not out there, but we are seeing a lot of folks interested in starting businesses and that type of thing, and things will come around. But yeah, some good luck always helps. Okay. No questions so far, right?
Well, we have a few, Greg.
Okay.
Do you want to keep going and I'll ask them at the end, or you want to take a pause in the action here?
Let's take a pause. Let's go for it.
Okay. So, I can always rely on Linda Lytela, and I know you know Linda, and she's always good for a couple of questions, and she has a couple here. So she wants to know, how have the services you offer changed in the last 20 years? Are they different services? And then secondly, are entrepreneurs more or less savvy today?
Okay. Well, as far as our services, for the most part, our services are very similar to what we've offered 20 years ago. And sometimes that's just because we've built kind of a reputation in the things that we do, and we think we do them well. We hope we do anyway. And a lot of that is the business financing and that type of thing. Probably where we've seen more interest and we've tried to beef up our capabilities some is in business succession planning and helping business owners prepare for the eventual either sale or transition of their business to another family member or an employee, that type of thing. I think has probably been something that we've picked up on in the last few years. A lot of that it really came as a result of our working with buyers, and the buyers would come to us and say, hey, I want to buy this business, and they'd bring us financial statements that one weren't in very good order, and they showed losses. They had some maybe some negative trends, that type of thing, and yet we know the business is a good, solid business, and really the business owner kind of really let the business go in some cases and didn't pay attention, and then just kind of slowly finally decided that they want to sell it, and really wasn't very saleable or very financeable in a lot of cases. So that's one of the reasons why business succession planning became important. So hopefully we can help those existing business owners get get the most value or reasonable value for that business that they have, because in a lot of cases that's their retirement. The second question, I'm sorry, Mark, the second part of that.
That's okay. That's okay. Are entrepreneurs more or less savvy today?
I think they are, I think they're more savvy. I think that, that they come to us for the most part more well informed. They've done some research. Everybody, you can watch YouTube videos. There's all sorts of resources out there to help kind of prepare yourself, and that, if you have some questions, things like that. So I think they're using those tools that are out there to become a little bit more well-informed by the time they come to us. So yeah, that would be my opinion.
Okay, great. Well, another question here. This one comes from our friend Sandy Voigt.
Okay.
And Sandy would like to know, what are the benefits of a social benefits corporation, SBC, and how do you file for one?
Sure. So the benefits of that is the ability to kind of hold yourself out there and, I guess, advertise yourself as a kind of a public benefit business, that type of thing. And, we really haven't had a lot of experience or haven't dealt with them too much. But my understanding is, and, at least when they first became available, that there are some reporting requirements that have to be done and provided to the Secretary of State's office. It's the Secretary of State basically that runs, what do I want to say, where you register various business entities. And so if you wanted to be a public benefit corp, you would file through the Minnesota Secretary of State's office, and then I believe they were the ones that kind of administer that record keeping part of it. But again, the benefit really is being able to hold yourself out as a public benefit corporation, and the marketing that comes, or the marketing value that comes with that.
Sure. Well, there's a couple more questions out here, Greg. I think they're better suited maybe towards the end of the presentation. So if you want.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. And yeah, we'll make sure there'll be time for that. So I'll kind of move on to some of these next slides here. So basics of business startup, again, just some kind of general steps or general thoughts of getting, started in a business. And certainly there may be some other ones in there, but these are some of the key things. Obviously, generating that business idea or having that business idea is important, and thinking through that a little bit. Next, you typically will gather some information to kind of confirm or verify that thought. Is my idea a good idea? Is it viable? Is it doable? Is it legal? Depending on what that idea is. So certainly that information gathering stage, and these aren't always, again, in lockstep, and you you might get partway through one of these steps and you have to go back to generating or revising your business idea, that type of thing. Number 3, developing a business plan, or what I like to call it, the business plan narrative. And so again, it's a little bit of an iterative process as far as, you know, you start developing that plan, maybe you find you have to gather some more information or modify your idea, that type of thing. But it's really documenting what your business idea is and how you're going to, who you're going to market that to, and hopefully you have that as you develop that idea, there's some customers in mind, but you know, how you're going to basically pull off or what that business is going to look like. Next, you turn that business plan narrative into numbers. So you have this great idea and this great plan, but we need to see what that looks like from a financial number standpoint. And I think a lot of us in this business, at least of the folks that I work with, tend to be numbers people and want to see, yeah, it's a great idea, but can you make money doing it, type of folks. And so that's important. Obviously, business financing, or, you know, what is it going to take? What financial resources is it going to take to pull off this business? And then we'll talk a little bit about key tasks. So actually, this is a little bit of an agenda for the next few slides here coming up. So next, where do business ideas come from? And so a lot of times, well, there we go. Where do business ideas come from? And sorry, I tend to like a little more interaction when I do presentations. So instead of me just talking, but maybe a little bit hard on that with the chat side. But, you know, business ideas come from a lot of places. You know, a lot of times it comes from the entrepreneur's, you know, personal experience. Sometimes it comes from, you know, other folks talking to them and saying, gee, I wish there was this, or I wish there was that, or we need this in our community. Sometimes it comes from, you know, seeing something on the news or in a trade publication. So those ideas come from a lot of places, and I guess it's, you know, where does that inspiration come from? And you know, I think just kind of being out there, and if you're interested in starting a business and not quite sure what type of business that is, you know, that's probably a place to start. You know, what do you see your family needs in your community, or talking to your friends and relatives, folks like that, to see what needs are out there. And again, being out there exposed in kind of that public space, and, you know, seeing what people are talking about, what are some of those trends going on in various industries, that type of thing, to find that business idea. For researching that idea, you know, how do I know if it's a good idea or not? Some folks, and maybe a few too many, want to use their own intuition, and which is a great place to start, but maybe not where you want to end. But you know, what feels right, what feels like it'll work. I mean, intuition can be powerful, but I think you'd want to verify that. Secondly, you know, we talk about primary research. So sometimes, you know, that's going out and doing some formal or informal surveys, kind of talking to, you know, folks on the street. You know, do we need an ice cream shop in Braham, Minnesota, that type of thing. You know, trying to get people's opinions, thoughts, stuff like that. And then lastly, I have on here secondary research, and that's probably where we see most people going as far as kind of verifying their idea and finding out what's going on in the industry and stuff like that, is, you know, doing a Google search, looking for some industry market reports, those types of things to just to kind of validate, I think more than anything, their business idea and the feasibility of moving that forward into an actual business. So then you kind of move next to documenting that business, and that kind of moves us into the business plan. And I mentioned earlier the business model canvas. Again, I wanted to throw this out because particularly in the tech world and stuff like that, and as we talk more about kind of on the inventor side and stuff like that, sometimes the business model canvas is, if nothing else, a good place to start for documenting that business idea. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with it, but basically it just kind of gives you that framework, that structure to document, you know, what your business idea is, what value. You can kind of see in the middle there, it talks about value propositions. So what value do you bring to your potential customers? Why is it they need your product or service? Why are they willing to spend their hard-earned money on your product and service? On the right side, you know, talks about customer segments. So, you know, I always talk to my clients about, you know, who are your key customer segments? And, you know, most businesses will have 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 key customer segments. So they're teenage girls, well, if they're teenage, they're, you know, teenage, but young women age 15 to 25, something like that. I think I was talking to a client today about their customer segments, and or people that like to read books, or, you know, people that have Labrador hunting dogs. So you can identify customer segments in a number of different ways, but it's important to identify who those segments are and what value that your business is going to offer them. Why would they be interested in your product service? Customer relationships, how you connect with them, channels, how you generate revenue. I think there is a good example of a business model canvas for Amazon out there, and, you know, it talked about revenue streams and stuff, and people think, well, they make money selling products, they make money being that basically online retail store for other folks selling products. But one of the big ways that Amazon makes money is through their data center and hosting other people's websites and folks like, and things like that is one of their key revenue streams. So I thought that was kind of interesting. On the left side, it talks about key partners, you know, who do you need to partner with to make this happen, key activities, resources, and cost structure. So that's a business model canvas. Again, I wanted to throw that out there in case you hear about that, and, you know, it's kind of the new hip way maybe of writing that business plan or documenting your business. And but for the most part, what I've seen, and I might be wrong, but most lenders and folks like that tend to want to see a more traditional plan, which leads us to the traditional business plan. So, I mean, we use a number of different models or outlines for business plans. I just had a person today I sent a couple different ones to, and I said, you know, they're basically cover the same thing. There, you know, certainly some differences in what's covered in them, but they're all trying to get to the same thing. So this is a typical structure of a business plan. It has an executive summary, which tends to be written last, but shows up first on a business plan. And you, again, you can go online, you can find all sorts of outlines, samples, templates, things like that. And, you know, they might be different orders, but that type of thing, but they're all going to cover pretty much all these same things. Secondly is a business description. So describing your business, what it is, you know, where maybe where it's located, just some general information about that business that you're trying to describe to the person. This is an area sometimes where maybe you have a mission statement, or I like to tell my clients, maybe have some goals for your business in that description, but just kind of lays out that, a broader understanding of what that business is going to be. Next is a marketing plan. You know, who are your customers? Why are they coming to you? What are you offering that they're, again, willing to part with their hard-earned money for? How are you going to reach those customers? Who your competitors are? How do you get customers coming back? All those types of things are key components within a marketing plan. The operations plan is more than how are you going to provide that service, or how are you going to make that product, that type of thing. So, you know, I'm going to need a 5,000 square foot building with an overhead door, and I need, you know, this equipment, you know, those types of things. These, you know, covers employees, maybe suppliers, those types of things. But basically, again, how do you get it done to make that product, provide that service? And then lastly, an organization and management plan. Kind of, again, as kind of the name implies, how is this business going to be structured? Who's going to be managing it? How are some of those key management tasks going to be taken care of, like the dreaded bookkeeping, bookwork sometimes, things like that. Who's my insurance agent? Those types of things. But all of these are kind of are really the key components of a traditional business plan, and are the types of things that many lenders in particular like to see in a plan. I have on the bottom there, it talks about, you know, a business plan being a roadmap to success. We hear that a lot. And again, it kind of helps give you some direction to hopefully be successful in your business. It helps lenders and others understand your business. And I always like to emphasize, more importantly, it helps them feel confident you understand the business. And so, again, it's that documentation that you have a well thought out business. Any questions, Mark, you think I need to address before moving on?
What do you got next? Can you?
Little bit about financials, a little bit about lending, business lending, that type of stuff.
Let's hit that first, Greg.
Okay. All right. So after that business plan narrative, we typically will take that information because that describes how you're going to operate your business. And again, it's not necessarily a lockstep process, but we start developing financial projections. And so those financial projections could include a lot of things, but some of the key things I've listed here that, again, folks typically look for in financial projections. Number one, I have sources and uses of funds or startup project costs. So basically, you know, what is it going to take to get this business off the ground? What do I need to invest in equipment, inventory, maybe some prepaid expenses like advertising, maybe some deposits, you know, those types of things. But, you know, from a financial perspective, what upfront investments am I going to have to actually get this business to the first day of operations? Secondly, we talk about income statements, or sometimes they're better known as profit and loss statements. Hopefully they're more profit than loss, but again, that's going to be something that you want to look for or develop. Third, a balance sheet. So kind of a financial snapshot of the financial structure of a business, the assets, liabilities, owner's equity type of thing. You know, they count it the accounting equation. Assets equals owner's equity and liabilities, or liabilities and owner's equity, depending on the order. Third, cash flow or cash flow projections. Again, I mentioned earlier, cash is king. So it kind of shows how cash flows through your business. And, you know, think of your checkbook. Hopefully you have money coming in and you have money going out, and hopefully at the end of each month, you have more coming in than going out. And if nothing else, that your bank account has a positive balance. Point is really a measure of what do I have to have in sales, whether it's units or dollars. I tend to do most of that in dollars, but how many dollars in sales do I have to at least cover my fixed expenses? And that would be the break-even point. Some people will also include a factor for an owner wage or owner draw, something like that in there to see, if I want to take $40,000 out of my business next year, what level of sales do I have to be at to at least reach that level? If I want to add a salesperson, how much more in sales do I have to make it worthwhile to have that salesperson to at least break even with that person? Just a pretty good management tool that way. And then you also might have more detailed worksheets on sales, maybe sales by product line, that type of thing, profit margins, wages, employee wages, stuff like that, or other key financial figures. And then we always encourage businesses to maybe think about some other key metrics that they might be useful in managing their business. So for example, with a like a hotel or something like that, knowing your occupancy rates and those types of things would be a key performance indicator, those types of things. So those are, from a financial perspective, it's turning that business plan into numbers using hopefully some reasonable, educated guesses. And again, this is just another look at financial statements as an overview. And this one talks about having these orders and activities. Those day-to-day transactions in a business, driving into an income statement, which basically is a record of financial results over a period of time, whether it's a month, a quarter, a year, that type of thing. And you can kind of see the little movie camera thing, so it shows activity over time. And then a balance sheet, which has a little camera icon. So that's just a snapshot of the financial, what the finances look, or assets, liabilities, that type of thing, at a period of time, at a point in time. So again, the income statement covers a 12-month period ending December 31st, 2020, where a balance sheet shows at this point on December 31st, 2020, these are the assets I have and the liabilities that I owe, that type of thing. And then lastly, cash flow statement shows the cash effects of income statement changes and balance sheet changes.
So Greg?
Yeah.
We have a couple people here tonight that have an idea for a potential business, or, some thought towards a potential business.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to have a financial sheet. So what do you do then?
Well, they make one up. No, I kind of say that jokingly, but, again, if they're, we're going to talk about business financing here, but if they're going to be looking at obtaining financing to start that business, the lenders are going to want to see some financial projections, and that's where you start taking that information from your business plan narrative and turning that into numbers. And so, you have to say, okay, I think my customers are going to be willing to pay X number of dollars for my service, and I think it would be reasonable, maybe based on my previous work experience or talking to other folks, that I could have 15 customers a day. I'm making up these numbers, but that'll generate a certain amount of revenue each day, and I'll be open 6 days a week. And you just start building those numbers based on what are hopefully reasonable assumptions that you make, again, based a lot of times on your experience or sometimes it's on third-party resources that are out there, industry benchmarks, those types of things that might be out there. And, usually it's easier to come up with projections for expenses than it is for revenue. I understand that, and in the end, it's really putting together something that seems reasonable for the market that you're in. That hopefully that answers your question, but
We'll let you carry on.
yep. Otherwise, I have a little crystal ball in my office too. That helps, but it isn't always right. Okay, business financing. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about financing, and we can certainly, if there's some questions, about specific sources of financing and things like that, I'll be try and answer those as best I can. There's actually a lot of knowledge, in this group that's here that have worked on some of this stuff over the years too. So I don't profess to know everything about that, but so 3 basic sources of financing, and at least as I put it out, but number 1 being equity, and per those, coming from personal resources, family, friends, we like to say the 3 F's, family, friends, and fools. But again, typically when a person is starting a business or buying a business, whatever the case, you're going to have some personal resources, personal financial resources put into that business. And if you're going to be thinking you're going to go to a bank and get financing, they're going to expect you to have some equity in that business venture yourself. They like to say they want it to hurt you worse than it hurts them if you go out of business. So you can expect that. Secondly, debt. And again, debt is, pretty simple, an obligation you have to pay back typically over time or at some point in the future. And they will typically charge interest, although there are some other options along those lines for in some communities. And most people, when they think of debt, they'll think of a bank, a credit union, or there's a variety of non-bank lenders out there, the Entrepreneur Fund, some of the gap loan funds, which are government foundation funds that are out there, various other groups that can provide some debt financing. They're all going to be looking for the same type of information and using some of the same criteria in evaluating a loan proposal. But again, for the most part, on the clients that we work with, it's a bank or a credit union or some of the non-bank lenders that are out there. Then lastly, I put other financing options. There are leases. You can lease equipment, vehicles, things like that. Sometimes you can access dealer financing. Maybe in rare cases you can get some terms for suppliers, but typically for a startup business that gets to be a little tough. Or certainly your credit cards is one way folks will help finance their business. The other thing I didn't put down on here, particularly if you're looking at buying a business, is using some kind of seller financing or contract for deed, that type of thing. And we'll see contract for deeds in some cases where there isn't a significant amount of equity that buyers have to put into a business, and the sellers want to sell the business badly enough that they're willing to provide the financing over a period of time. But they can be kind of a tricky deal too, because people can have been burned on contract for deeds too. So, and then down below I list what's called the 5 C's of credit. And again, that's how a lender would typically evaluate a loan proposal or those criteria, and kind of put them all in C's to for convenience, I guess. And so cash flow. So is that business going to generate enough cash flow to be able to repay the loan plus some cushion? And for new businesses, it's, you know, based on reasonable assumptions, and that they develop financial projections that show they have or they will have enough cash flow to repay that loan plus some cushion. So I'd mention that because lenders will typically want to see some cushion in that cash flow. Secondly, collateral. So if the cash flow isn't there, what can lenders take and sell to get their money back? And that will certainly include business assets and can often include personal assets. So so they'll be looking for collateral. Commitment, that's that equity part. What do those business owners have committed to the business? And again, I like to say time is nice, but cash is king. So they want to see some cash commitment on your part into that business prior to them making a commitment for to finance your business. Next, credit history or character. Do you have a history of repaying loans? Are you, good character, stuff like that? Again, usually a credit score, credit history type of thing is the measure of that. And then lastly, conditions. And conditions is defined a number of different ways to different folks. Sometimes it's the rate and term and stuff like that. But for me, conditions is really, does the business make sense? Is it, for the location, for the times, things like that. And sometimes I'll give the example back quite a few years ago now. There was a lot of press out there that tanning beds cause cancer. And so at that particular point in time, it probably wasn't a good time to start a tanning bed business. But I think most people, I don't know if they've gotten better or people have forgotten or whatever, but don't seem to hear that so much anymore. But conditions, and I say that, but it's amazing to me because recently we've had a number of people interested in starting restaurants, and yet every day I read about another restaurant closing down for good. So it's just kind of interesting to me. But what do lenders want to see? So this is what's typically in a loan package checklist. Existing financial statements if available. So if you're an existing business, they want to see those historic financial statements, or if you're buying a business, they'd want to see the seller's historic business financial statements, typically going back 3 years, 2 to 3 years, and usually that's an income statement, a balance sheet, and then the business tax returns as well. Business plan, we talked about that business plan narrative, sources and uses of funds. So what do you need money for? And where do you expect that money to come from? List of available collateral. We talked about financial projections. Personal financial statement / credit history of the owners of this business. Supporting documents such as leases, any contracts. If you need a license, let's say you're a contractor, you need a contractor license. Those types of things they would typically want to see. Resumes for the owners and any key people for that business. And they want to see, hopefully, that you have some skills to operate your business and to manage the business, that type of thing. And then lastly, the previous year's actually personal tax returns in addition to business tax returns if it's an existing business. And I like to tell folks that they want to make sure that you're filing taxes, so if they lend you money, the government isn't going to come and drain your bank account. I just have a couple more slides here I'll finish up with, then we'll kind of hit the rest of the questions. So key common organization tasks. Again, this is more kind of like a business checklist, but certainly isn't fully comprehensive. But some of the key things: choose and create your business entity, and we touched a little bit on some of those, whether it's a limited liability company, just doing a DBA or assumed name, forming a corp, or a public benefit corporation, those types of things. So you want to do that, and you file that with the with the Secretary of State, whether it's articles of organization or articles of incorporation, if you go that route. Obtain any necessary federal and state tax ID numbers, and there are various rules around when you need both a federal one and a state one, or either one, and an unemployment ID number as well if you have employees, but you obtain those. Obtain any other local licenses, permits if needed. Certainly through your business planning process, you want to make sure that you can do the business you want to do where you want to do it. In communities, there are zoning ordinances that sometimes don't allow you to do certain types of things in certain areas. You don't want a neighbor that is making a lot of noise, emitting a lot of smoke, creating a lot of traffic or something like that. And so you need to be able to do what you want to do where you intend to do it. Otherwise, that can set you back quite a bit. Establish a business bank account. So again, you want to have that business entity created and have any needed tax ID numbers before establishing that business bank account. But you would typically want to have a separate account for your business rather than running it through your personal account. It's just a good practice. Obtain your insurance, utilities, phone, that type of thing. Set up any supplier accounts. Sometimes there's an application process that goes with that. Hopefully part of the business planning process, you've verified that you can buy through suppliers that you want to buy from. A lot of times they're looking for that federal and state tax ID number, that type of thing. So be prepared for that. Set up a payment system. Are you going to take credit cards or not? Those types of things. Record keeping system for accounting, HR types of things if you have employees. That stuff, by and far, I think the most popular accounting system is QuickBooks, although you don't need to have a QuickBooks system to do accounting. You can do it using Excel spreadsheet. You can do it on paper. There's nothing that says that it has to be on QuickBooks or any other type of electronic accounting system, but you do have to have a system for keeping track of revenue and expenses, at least. Set up any website you're going to have and other marketing. And then obviously, making sure you have the location that you wanted, furniture, fixtures, equipment, inventory, and so on. And this slide I like to throw in there. It wasn't raining when Noah started building the ark. Again, it's a process. It isn't, just a one-time event, but business planning is a process. We'll first, getting that business up and running, but then continuing to evaluate your business and how it's going and what direction you might want to take with that. And then lastly, how to reach us. You used to have my number on here, but I think since I'll be gone in a month, Katrina in our office is probably the best way to reach us at this point. So, all right, Mark, if there's some more questions, I'd be happy to try and answer those.
Well, you got several questions, Greg, so
Okay.
we'll try and keep it kind of short or whatnot so that we can have a little time for networking as well.
Yep.
So one thing you haven't mentioned yet, Greg, is, I got this idea and I need to enlist the SBDC. How much does all this cost me?
Well, we don't charge for that. It's again, we're a grant-funded program by SBA part of that, but also our local supporters. So we don't charge for that service. We do have a online registration process. So you can either go to our website or contact Katrina, and she will send you the link for that. Or, I mean, you can, myself as well. But yeah, no cost.
So one of the things that, as you were going through your slides, and this isn't my first rodeo, but it seems daunting and overwhelming to someone who has a business idea on the back of a cocktail napkin. Geez, I need this business plan. I got to get my financing. I got all these options. Can I just bring that to you and you're going to help me, or where do I get all this help? Where do I get help with business financing? Where do I get help finding out business planning?
Sure. So, I mean, we aren't going to do it for you, but we are certainly there to help guide you through that process. And if we don't have the answers, hopefully we can point you in the right direction to get those answers. A lot of different resources out there, SBDCs, scores, local economic development organizations. Those answers are out there. Sometimes you need to search, but there are a lot of resources in Minnesota. And when I talk to my peers in other states, Minnesota, by and large, really has a great network and access to resources to help small businesses. So it's out there, and if people are feeling overwhelmed, I tell them just get down what they know, and just break it up into pieces and do one piece at a time, and it'll come together.
So, and I appreciate that, and as you and I both know, Jordan Zeller, if you're in the East Central region, his Rolodex is by far the biggest of anybody's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reaching out to him for some of this help. Also, we've talked about business financing in the Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club. We also had business planning, or coming up with a business plan. Tom Willett did that. All those are recorded and should be online for you to view if that, excuse me, if you have those questions.
Yep.
Okay, so now from the audience, I got one here for you. Actually, I got a couple for you that are somewhat related.
Okay.
So this one is, what types of businesses have you seen to be the most successful operating in a small community?
Well, I think some of those businesses that offer services that one that kind of more of a convenient thing that so you think of personal services have been very successful. Hair care, those types of things certainly are. Where convenience and service are important, I've seen those being very successful in small communities. We've faced the challenge of Walmarts and those types of things. We're never going to be competing on price in a lot of cases with those folks, but convenience, service, and knowing your customers are important. And so any businesses where you can do that can certainly be successful. The other part of that, kind of more the flip side, but if you have a business where location doesn't necessarily need to be a factor, whether an online sales or services, those types of things that you can do remotely. Small communities are a great option for them, and I think they're very attractive to live in, and I think we're going to see more and more folks being very interested in moving out to smaller communities to do those types of businesses.
So
I wish I could say choose this business and you will be successful, but Can't do that.
Well, and there's other factors that go behind it besides choosing the most successful one. You know,
Right.
you actually have to work it. And like you said, if you're going to open a welding shop, you probably should know something about welding.
Yeah.
So, your definition of exciting, but what is the most exciting enterprise that you've worked with in your 20-year career?
I don't know, exciting, but I like to tell a story of kind of the most I would say interesting, okay? Just because I just think this is such a neat story. So years ago, there was a young lady who lived in a trailer house out in the middle of a cornfield. Her husband had just died in a motorcycle accident. I had actually knew her husband from school. And she had a little bit of money, but she had some skills in taxidermy and wanted to start a business taking animals and putting them in, using her taxidermy skills to put them in little poses and stuff like that, and then sell them. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a weird, crazy idea. I don't think it'll work, but let's do some research. We did some research and found out that people were actually doing that. And sometimes it was the pets that they were keeping for posterity, I guess, and that type of thing. But she wanted to do a little bit different in that she wanted to, instead of traditional taxidermy, she wanted to use freeze drying. And freeze drying was one way they could do that. So we actually put together a plan, projections, all that stuff, and got some funding from not a bank, but from one of these foundation loan funds. And she bought her freeze dryer, got it installed, things like that. And anyway, I didn't see her for a while, but I think about a year later, I saw her, ran into her, talked to her, and I said, so how are things going? She said, things are going great. And I said, oh, really? So are you doing a lot of these animal things? And she said, well, not so much that, but I got into freeze drying bridal bouquets. And so I cover pretty much all of Southwest Minnesota freeze drying bridal bouquets, and things are going fantastic, and she is happy and stuff like that. So I like that just because it's kind of a unique story, but also shows that sometimes what you intended to do isn't what you ended up doing, but something similar, and you'll find your success somewhere.
Great.
So
as you come to the end, December 1st, and you walk out the door, December 2nd, everybody in the office is going to say, Greg, boy, remember Greg, the guy that was here years ago? What are they going to remember? What do you hope that your legacy is going to bring to this area?
Oh boy, that's tough. Well, hopefully they won't have to remember me. Really, I always jokingly say I'm the good-looking face of the SBDC, and I mean that in the sense of really the SBDC are the consultants that we have out there, and people like Nancy and Heidi and Tom Willett and many other folks that are doing the work for us. So that certainly will continue, and people like them will be out there doing the service. So hopefully they just say I held it together long enough that I didn't screw things up, and that's if they remember me for that, I'd be happy. And so.
Well, Greg, we thank you for joining us here tonight. I don't see any more questions. On the flyer that everybody saw is Greg's contact information.
Yep.
You have another month
Yep.
To get a hold of Greg and ask him further questions via those emails and contact points.
Yep.
And my screen went blank. DJ Zeller, there you go. So the slides, Jordan, are we able to get Greg's slides and put those on our website if somebody wanted to grab those? And Greg, if you wouldn't mind just shutting your share down, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg,
Yeah.
if you want to email them over, we'll get them put on the website, if that's okay.
All right. I got to figure out how to, here we go. Stop share. There we go.
There you go. Okay.
All right. Yep. I'll email those to you, Jordan.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
The
Yep.
slides will be on the website as well as the recording here today. And Jordan, are people on mute by choice or do you have them muted?
They can unmute themselves, I believe.
Okay. All right. So just for a little social networking here that we don't get to do in person. And I know everybody that's here typed in, at least in the chat box, typed in an introduction. But if you just want to say it out loud right now, I will call your name and give a brief introduction. And I'm going to, if it's okay, Jordan, I'm going to skip over you because you know you're kind of the face of East Central Minnesota. Like I said, this guy here has the biggest Rolodex in the state of Minnesota. I've seen the wheel. It's in his office. So, Linda Lytala. I've known Linda for a while. Linda was responsible for some of those hard questions, Greg. I bet you can figure that out.
That's fine.
So Linda, you're up.
Okay, you want me to introduce myself? That's it?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm Linda Lytala. I own a company called Raven Performance Group, and I work with entrepreneurs, put them into peer groups to help them build better companies and have more balance in their life.
Great. Pete.
Hey, I'm getting better at this Zoom thing. Pete Sparks, I'm the mayor of Sandstone, at least until Tuesday. I'm running unopposed, so I'm feeling hopeful. Always looking for something new for the good city of Sandstone, especially Megan. I have a couple ideas for you if I'll get a hold of you next day or two. So if anybody has a good business and needs a place to do it, Sandstone is looking for you. We have electricity and water, and it's always 75 and sunny. Ish.
Thanks, Pete. Nancy, you're next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hoffman with the Chisago County HRA EDA, and we are a small business development center with Greg. We're working under Greg. I will remember Greg as the guy who had all the answers. Whenever I have questions, I know I can go to him, and he will, if he doesn't know, he'll direct me in the right direction. And I have a lot of questions when it comes to the Small Business Development Center. There's no project that's ever the same, so it's a lot of fun. So we serve Chisago County with the Small Business Development Center. And you know, Heidi isn't here today, but I did see somebody here from Mora. She'd be a great contact for you if you're looking for business planning or going into business.
Thanks, Nancy. Sandy. Hi, Sandy.
Hi. Well, I'm Sandy Boyd, and I'm the director of the Women's Business Alliance. Actually, one of the partner groups for the Small Business Administration. So I kind of sort of say I'm related to Greg, and I'm proud to be part of that network, and I'm just hanging out to make sure, and I can say, Greg, congratulations. I will miss you. I think we go back way.
Yeah. I was just going to say, just don't say we're kissing cousins or something, you know.
No. But you have been just an absolute wonderful resource to all of the small businesses and all of us as economic development partners. And we shall miss you very much, even as the handsome face of the SBDC.
I do love that you shared that picture of you in the beginning. That's how I remember you.
It's a good way.
If anybody can see the sign behind Sandy there. Sandy, speak up again, and you become the big screen.
I become the what now?
You're
big
not the big
screen, huh?
screen on Zoom, but if you look to the right, it says "Be the reason someone smiles today." I like that.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, Jennifer, you're never at a loss for words. Come off mute and talk to us. I don't hear you though. Okay,
I'm here, Mark.
there you are. Okay.
Yeah, I have headphones on. So here I am. A little dark. I have my office downstairs. I work for eCentral Energy. I've worked there for over 14 years. I'm in the member services department. I love my job, love my people that I work with. Great organization. I was interested in attending tonight. I'm always kind of keen about businesses and how they function and how they start. So just looking to get some more information on that, just for my personal benefit and then also to help me professionally. So thank you very much, Greg. It was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna scroll here. I got Andy and Renee Chrisman. I hope I said that right. They're from Mora. And they specifically wanted to learn more about funding opportunities for small businesses. So Andy and Renee, if you can take yourselves off of mute. We'd like to know, did you get an answer to why you came today? And they're still on mute. Okay. We will go to Megan Bennett. Megan, I believe if I saw correctly in here, Megan, I need to scroll through the chat. Everybody's there. She's from Sandstone, recently moved back, and she's looking for options to begin a business of some sort. I know Pete mentioned that he saw that too, and he's got some space for you, Megan. Megan, did Greg help you today? Kind of introduce yourself and tell us what you're thinking. What kind of help do you need, Megan?
Yes, I actually have been talking with Tom Willett too a little bit by email and phone. Basically, the last year has been kind of a whirlwind. I had a baby in January, and then by the time, about a couple weeks before I was supposed to go back to work, COVID hit, daycare fell through. We were living in Isani at the time, and then we decided to move back to Sandstone, where me and my husband both grew up. So I quit my job, and I have a financial background as far as education as well as work experience. So just kind of looking into some different options, both to find something to do when baby is bigger and just add to the community that my family has always been a part of.
And did you find that help? You got Pete there. He's willing to talk to you.
Yes, I look forward to talking with him. I have been talking to Kathy, the city administrator, a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I've talked to one of the city council members. I also talked to someone on the EDA who works closely with my mom. So we're kind of feeling out everybody here before we make any final decisions.
Okay, great. Well, again, there's quite a few people here. There's quite a few absent actually. We usually have a pretty good sized crowd. Feel free to contact any of us. Obviously contact Greg or Jordan. Nancy can help you out there too, and Pete. And we can get you whatever resources that you need, or at least get you pointed in some direction. And Tom, as I mentioned earlier, Tom Willett presented at a past Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club meeting on business planning, and you might want to look that up and replay that video.
Yeah, I guess it's at this point, it's more deciding what we actually want to do. I've gotten a lot of information on the process of getting something started, but it's more looking for what this specific community is going to be interested in and deciding what we think would be the most successful.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yep, thank you.
All right. John, how's your connection tonight, John? Are you there?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm John Bosman. I'm with East Central Energy. I'm one of the business account reps. I cover the I-35 corridor, basically from the Stacy area north up to the, I guess, the Sandstone area, and then into northwestern Wisconsin. And I guess I wanted to attend, and first of all, congratulations, Greg, on your upcoming retirement. That's terrific. Thanks for the service. And I guess tonight I wanted to get on here because I've been receiving quite a few inquiries. Just because of the situation doesn't mean people aren't looking to do some things. So I've had a few inquiries recently about questions, more on the electric side, obviously, but they're new businesses. And so I thought it would be good to sit in this conversation and then hopefully bring some ideas back and some things for people to contact. So that's why I sat in, and I'll let you go from there.
Thanks, John. I'll jump back. We had a phone caller. I see they must have dropped off, but I'll jump back to see if Andy and Renee Chrisman, are you able to unmute and talk to us? I'm not seeing anything. So, Mr. Zeller.
Hi, Jordan Zeller with the East Central Regional Development Commission. I do economic development for the 5 counties in East Central Minnesota: Chisago, Isanti, Kanabec, Mille Lacs, and Pine. And a lot of what I do is relying on many of the partners that are on the phone here or online with us today. Folks like Nancy Hoffman, the Small Business Development Center in Chisago County, Sandy Voigt with the Women's Business Alliance, our local cities, Mayor Pete, our partners with East Central Energy and Great River Energy, and of course Greg with the Small Business Development Center. I don't want this to sound like a wake for you, Greg, but Greg's a great guy to work with. Known him for years. One of the first people I met here back in 2006. A great partner for the SBDC, and you should be very proud. You can look at a lot of businesses that have your fingerprints on them through the SBDC over our 5 county regions. So you make our job easy, Greg, with great programs and great counselors. So thank you so much on that. Just want to mention too that we have financing available to help businesses. We've got some new COVID RLFs. Nancy Hoffman, who's actually right below me on the screen. I don't know where she is on yours, but Nancy's our loan board chair. So we've got COVID-19 funds available to assist businesses. Interest rates as low as 0%. We can stretch out no payments for up to 6 months. So some great financing programs. If it's a big project, we have partners like Great River Energy, East Central Energy, the Initiative Foundation, the Entrepreneur Fund, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some of our cities, like I know Sandstone, Mayor Pete, who's right over there on my screen, they've got a loan fund. So we can put together complex financing packages. We've done them $500,000 or more. Just basically getting everybody around the table, putting together a package like that. So if financing is something you're looking for, by all means, give us a call. We're happy to help. No charge putting that together, and happy to do it. And Same with any other economic development issue. Just feel free to give us a call. Like I always say, I got a pretty good Rolodex. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I've got some numbers I can point you to. So please don't hesitate to give me a call. And if you are online here, you can see my phone number. I put that earlier here in the chat box. So don't hesitate to give us a call. Mark?
Thank you, Jordan. So I'll wrap it up here. I'm Mark Nelson. I am the manager of government and business relations here at East Central Energy. I have been with electric cooperatives for now, I just started my 29th year. So been around and I really enjoy the business account side of things. John and I do a lot of work together. We also have Lana Black, who covers basically from Isanti to Isle, kind of the center of our service territory. And we got Matt Hagerness, who takes from Ogilvie all the way over to St. Cloud, down to Princeton, and up to the Onamia area, covering Malacca. And Jordan, I guess you did it. You said East Central Energy. I counted 4 times, so I guess I owe you lunch for putting in that shameless plug for us.
I'm going to hold you to that, Greg.
I know you will.
Greg, what I call you, Greg, Mark. I'll hold you that, Mark.
Yeah. See, now you can't go over $5 because you called me Greg. So
yeah, sorry.
The Chrismans are having an issue with their microphone, but definitely wanted to say thanks for the presentation, Greg, and the discussion, everyone. Greg, I'll put in my shameless plug as well. You know, when Jordan and Nancy and I sat down and started talking about this Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club and you know what we needed to do and to get it started and everything else, you know, Greg has lended us support behind the scenes as well, and he has been here in person when we were able to do that. He's religiously been on the computer now on these Zoom meetings. Of course, you know, all of us would like nothing better than to get back to in-person meetings and get this pandemic over with. You know, maybe we'll see if after the election and Pete's reelected mayor, you know, cross our fingers, Pete. We're hoping. You know, maybe he'll put the end to it for all of us. But anyhow, we are going to take another hiatus. Last year we talked about not having a November meeting, and then we had Dennis Franzen who wanted to speak in November, so we opened it up. Of course, our meeting lands just on that Thanksgiving week, so it is kind of tough for people. So we are going to take a hiatus in November. And again, we will take one in December. So we're going to be off for a couple months again. And I apologize for that, but you know, too close to Thanksgiving, too close to Christmas. But many of you responded to our survey. And as a result of your survey, we took those to heart. And DJ Zeller, besides spinning the tunes tonight, has been working hard on lining up some speakers. And in January, there was quite a majority of you that really enjoyed the business success stories. So we're going to be bringing back some business success stories in January. And I'm sure, matter of fact, I know Greg is going to join us probably from some warm tropical place with a cocktail and an umbrella in there. We're going to be able to see that. But I know that even though he's retired, Greg is probably still going to join us. And make us all jealous we'll be able to smell the tropical breeze coming across the computer if I'm guessing we're still going to be doing Zoom meetings here.
From what I hear from the mayor, it'll be sandstone.
All right. So with that, we will close this meeting unless there is somebody else. Earlier, I saw a raise your hand function, and I can't find it to tell you what it is. But if you have something final, I'll give you 30 seconds to type it into the chat box while I close out, and I'll be watching that. But Greg, again, on behalf of the Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club. We really appreciate your participation and you know, your behind the scenes work. I know I've gotten a few emails off the cuff from you for ideas and whatnot. We do thank you for that. So good luck in your retirement. Don't be a stranger. I don't expect that you will. I'm sure we'll be seeing your pretty face again.
Thank you, Mark.
With that, I don't see anything else in the chat. I gave you 30 seconds. The egg timer's up. Jordan, anything else?
Thank you all. Have a pleasant good evening. And on behalf of the Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club, the East Central Regional Development Commission, and all of the fine organizations here, have a good night. Be safe, and we'll see you again in January.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Yep.
Bye-bye.